Hey, what's up everybody? John Scott here for WrestleLine, and you are tuning in to WrestleLine's In Your House Watch Along Retrospective Series. This is episode 7 from D-Generation X. Yes, the what would go on to be obviously one of the biggest groups, formations in WWF history. D-Generation X had its own pay-per-view tag, I guess, in Your House pay-per-view series, and this is actually like last episode. For anybody that didn't tune into that, we did In Your House 1, and this, for at least on my point of view, and this retrospective watch along series, this is going to be to the endest point I'm going to go to in the In Your House series. I know a lot of people consider things like, you know, Rock Bottom, and I know there was like No Way Out and stuff like that came along, that was kind of in the In Your House stuff. But for me, I'm only going to go to the end of 97 because I just think that those pay-per-views, like especially No Way Out, they ended up getting their own pay-per-view titles out of it anyway. So I think it was like 98, I would say, pretty much went into a different space in terms of the whole taking the In Your House concept further. So this is as far as we're going to go, and what a treat we've got here. I would, as always, encourage everybody to fire up their WWE network, do the watch along with me, turn the volume down, and chill out, relax, do whatever you're going to do, have a beverage or two, whatever, whenever you're listening to this, because we're about to have the match between Shawn Michaels and the world's most dangerous man, as he was known here, Ken Shamrock. And the first time we've seen him on our series. So, guys, fire it up. Go to In Your House D-Generation X. That's In Your House D-Generation X. You'll see it down there. I actually think that it's the last one they actually put on their WWE network as well. So even WWE kind of see this as the last In Your House themselves. Go on there, and you want to go for the time of 2 hours, 12 minutes and 10 seconds. That's 2 hours, 12 minutes, 10 seconds. Guys, I encourage you to hit the pause button while you guys find that, and then hit play when I come back on, because on the count of 1, we are going to sync together and watch this match. So, guys, 2 hours, 12 minutes and 10 seconds. On the count of 1, we're all going to hit play. So, 3, 2, 1. And you should see, if you're at the right spot, the promo shot here of the match between Michaels and Shamrock, as we now get this promo going on. One thing I'll say about this right off the bat, and I can already tell without even having the volume on here, is that you'll notice the way these promos, like these match promos, they're very much now going into a different realm, and we are on the, I don't know if we're there yet. I mean, it depends where it's up to personal preference and opinions here, but we are about in, or stepping towards, at least we're on the right currency, I guess, that we are going into the Attitude Era. This is very much the Attitude Era style promo that you would have got back then, and you can tell that Vince McMahon, WWE, are taking the company into a completely different direction here, and obviously for the better, because, you know, in terms of growth, in terms of financial reward, in terms of audience and getting people over, they definitely ticked a lot of boxes. So it wasn't just like one thing, where I know a lot of people will jump on the fact WWE do very well financially. However, the product itself doesn't get the ratings that this kind of era did. So, we're about to see the promo now. Of course, for anybody that came along with us on our retrospective a little while ago on this series, you would have gone to episode 4, where we had, of course, the first ever Hell in a Cell match. This is literally, you go to Survivor Series. We're coming off Survivor Series. We're coming off the Montreal Screwjob. Shawn Michaels would win the WWF title. He's obviously still the European champion as well. And now, very much, everything is being heaped on him at this point. This is the way Vince has gone. And the whole DX party as it is now coming out, as you can see. I see poor old Jim Neidhart there. Very much at this point, they were really trying to rub in the whole, they've screwed Brett thing. And obviously they went through these motions of showing that to the audience as much as they could. And here we see Ken Shamrock, who I'm going to talk about in a lot more depth as we go on with this, but Ken Shamrock there putting that ankle lock straight on Michaels. Look at that. And there he goes. And at this point, Shamrock is almost like a anti-hero. He's almost in that Steve Austin bracket because he's a loose cannon. He's all over the place, as we see Jim Cornette now backstage doing the interview. There you go. There's a name for you. And obviously he's going to build up into the match. But at this point, Ken Shamrock is very much like he's his own person. And I think WWF tried to put that across in all this about it. Just to give you a little bit of info on the pay-per-view then. So this took place December 7th, 1997. Springfield, Massachusetts. From the Springfield Civic Center. And attendance, WWE's attendance anyway, is 6,358 fans. The tagline for this, not only is it In Your House Degeneration X, but it's also Attitude is Everything. Well, it certainly was going forward, wasn't it? Also, this show, like obviously this is the main event that we're watching, but the match before this was actually Stone Cold Steve Austin up against The Rock. Steve Austin would win. That was for the Intercontinental belt, and he lasted like just under sort of 6 minutes there. It also had Jeff Jarrett defeating The Undertaker by DQ. Triple H had that boot camp match, which was really crazy stuff, to say the least. If you want to watch something really ridiculously, I don't know what to make of it, but go back and check that out, up against Sergeant Slaughter. Then you had the New Age Outlaws, who were very much coming into their own against the Legion of Doom. I mean, that's quite a sort of fantasy type match there, I guess, for a lot of people. So there were a few things. Also had Butterbean defeating Mark Merrill for the Tough Man match. A lot of people forget that Butterbean was in WWF just before all that whole Brawl for All malarkey happened. And also he had like some crazy 6-man tag match with Los Barricos and Disciples of Apocalypse and all those guys. And there was also a light heavyweight championship match between Taka Michinoku and Brian Christopher. So we see Shamrock now very much. I mean, he looks pound for pound, like he looks the business, doesn't he? There, I mean, no doubt about it. As we now have the backstage shot of Chyna, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. This style of doing it here without sort of an interview guy back there and sort of Shawn just talking to the camera and to the guys like at the booth. This is sort of a new concept. Again, I quite liked it, and I kind of think this sort of thing is still missing today. I don't know why this is something that WWE, don't try and revisit with a few of their stars. I really think they lack confidence in a lot of their performers, which I don't understand why, because most of them have worked at levels on the independent scene where they have to kind of do them anyway. So we're now going to see Shawn Michaels entering the ring. Obviously, he's very much the heel presence in all this. This is, how they want to go. And of course, we're going to, much like Hell in a Cell was set up, the one we watched, where I said to you how much great booking in advance there had been for that Kane Undertaker match. Well, WWF penciled in way ahead of time, I would have thought, before this, Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin for WrestleMania 14. Of course, wherever they knew, I'm not sure if they've reached out to Tyson at this point, but that whole thing was definitely coming together just nicely, and Steve Austin was definitely going to be the next guy. There was no doubt about it. Thank goodness. As we see now, this is, again, the entrance we're about to see. This is very all out there. It's kind of fresh. It's kind of new. It's very edgy. This kind of coming in of the whole, sequence, the theme here. I mean, NWO, I guess there was a little bit of a rip to it off of what they've done over there, because they had this, like, where they come in on black and white sometimes, and I think this was like, but I don't think without Shawn Michaels, without Shawn Michaels at the front end of this, I'm not sure this would have worked. I was thinking as well, guys, like the amount of Michaels matches I've covered, I haven't done that deliberately. It's almost like I've become a Michaels fan here, but he was very much, in this era, very much the centrepiece for a lot of stuff happening. Great matches. We've seen him up against Owen Hart already. We've seen him against The Undertaker. So, he's been on at least 3 times. And of course, this is our episode 7. So, like I've been saying, I'm gonna definitely have a minimum of 10, and at the moment, at least, I'm ending it on 10. I don't know. There's too much more I can really do in terms of that. I mean, unless people have got something really outrageous to send me and want me to do as a watch along, then I'll do it. But I think for the most part, I will end it on episode 10. So literally, we're like, 3 away now from completion of this series. And I want to thank everybody who's been supporting this. Great feedback from you guys as well. Really appreciate that. Now, I said to you earlier I was going to talk a little bit about Ken Shamrock, because, obviously we haven't had him on here on this series thus far. And I thought it was, it'd be quite interesting to just give a little bit of background. And one of the things I want to say is that Ken Shamrock here, he's well under 12 months of debuting in WWF. A lot of people think, he debuted at WrestleMania 13. Well, no, not really. He refereed at WrestleMania 13. But if you think about we know he had a wrestling career pre-WWE, but in the WWE, things change. I think Ken Shamrock, I know a lot of people talk about Kurt Angle adapting so well to WWF, but I think not enough people talk about Ken Shamrock, because yes, Kurt Angle did adapt to the WWE very well, but I remember Kurt Angle doing at least some stuff in developmental before he started. With Ken Shamrock, it was very much, let's just get him out there from the UFC. And I think as a legit athlete coming into WWF, that character he played, the psychotic sort of dangerous man that will flip at any time. He really did go 100% for it. He didn't sort of lay out of it. This is great stuff here, by the way. I'm talking over some great action in the ring. I think in terms of seeing that In Your House logo, I think that's the last time we see it, that you see there on the apron. I think they go a completely different way. I know you can see the logo there in the bottom left is still the old WWF one, but I think very soon after that they do that scratching type logo that obviously has become its own thing today, hasn't it, really? They've never really gone away from it either. They seem to love that. But yeah, Ken Shamrock, I just think, at this point, some of Ken's matches would have been up against Vader. He had a very good series with him. We did a full series on Ken Shamrock, spanning across 3 years of his WWF ring. And I don't think I put across how just how good he was at adapting and getting into this. I mean, I think if Kurt Angle gets recognition, then Ken Shamrock definitely should be on the same level. And here he is. I mean, he's at the back end of the year, but don't forget, he's probably started wrestling in what,